Hello, I'm Captain Rebecca Wilson, and I'm a sexual assault survivor.
And I'm Sergeant Joseph Walker, and I'm also a sexual assault survivor.
It might strike you as odd, but the fact is the Army sees a very high rate of sexual assault reports in the first 90 days after soldiers return from theater.
There are two reasons for this. The first being that some soldiers are reluctant to report sexual assaults that occurred while in theater.
These are loyal soldiers who go above and beyond their duty by possibly keeping a sexual assault to themselves until out of theater, so that they could stay in theater to be there to support their Army brothers and sisters.
Or, given the close-knit nature of a deployed base, they might not feel as comfortable reporting a sexual assault in that environment, which is something the Army wants to remedy.
The second reason soldiers report many sexual assaults in the first 90 days after returning from theater is that many sexual assaults occur in that 90-day period.
Back in the U.S., when soldiers are able to relax a little more without the immediate threat of a mortar round going off around them.
And when they're able to go on leave, perhaps party a little bit again where drinking might be involved.
The situation becomes more casual, and more opportunities for sexual assault might present themselves to sexual predators.
And remember that these predators might not be Army personnel. They might be civilians that soldiers meet in bars, and they might even be boyfriends or girlfriends.
Whatever the reason, delayed reports from theater or more sexual assaults upon return, returning to garrison becomes a critical time for leaders who care about the well-being of those soldiers under their command.
Remember, the Army wants to see increased reporting of sexual assault.
It knows that sexual assaults occur, and it knows they're underreported.
As a result, soldiers don't get the help they need, which is the Army's foremost concern.
But sexual assault also impacts mission readiness. It damages our ability to function as a band of brothers and sisters.
So although the Army wants to see reporting increase, it also wants to see its leaders take proactive measures to change the culture surrounding sexual assault.
In accord with all our Army values and our general mission to protect the rights and citizens of the U.S., the Army needs a culture that reflects our respect for one another and our diversity.
Please take the time before returning to garrison to reinforce the sexually safe culture the Army wants its soldiers to embody.
For example, it's easy to launch a dialogue. Consider how easy this is to accomplish.
At ease. Let me ask you all something. If you knew that an enemy had infiltrated our country and was attacking your family members, your friends, and other American citizens, would you do something about it? What if that attack was against one of your battle buddies, your Army brothers and sisters? Does it have to be in combat, or could it be anywhere?
Anywhere.
Well, the fact of the matter is we're facing that kind of a threat, except it's not coming from a terrorist. It's not Al-Qaeda. It's not the Taliban. In fact, 1 in 6 women and 1 in 10 men in America will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. Now, are we prepared to do something about that? Well, that didn't sound very enthusiastic. Look, I'm serious about this. The Army is serious about this. If you think for 1 second we're supposed to risk our ass out there engaging the enemy to protect the liberties of Americans and then stand by when we could do something about sexual assault, you're crazy. The whole point of the U.S. Army is to stand for something. We're supposed to stand up and say we're going to protect Americans everywhere we go and in everything we do. It's not just about what we do when it's 110 degrees and we've got sand in our boots. Am I making sense? Good.
That messaging was for the soldiers, but it's messaging the Army wants all of its leaders to think about. Either we really stand for protecting liberty and security for all Americans, even when it comes to things like sexual harassment and assault, or we're missing what it really means to be a soldier, to stand for something.
Following this program, you'll be able to download files for conducting training exercises with the soldiers in your command.
They cover ideas for linking Army values to pushing back against sexual harassment, to fighting sexual assault, employing bystander intervention, and discussing how we define consent.
Those exercises are important because this is about creating a culture where sexual assault, sexism, and sexual harassment simply aren't tolerated.
The Army needs its soldiers to be as ready to act against sexual assault as they are to act against enemy forces on a battlefield.
That's why the Army has made a direct connection between the I Am Strong campaign and sexual assault prevention.
We need all soldiers to intervene when there are opportunities to combat sexual assault, act on Army values to stand against sexual assault and harassment, and motivate others to do the same.
If you're able to create that kind of mindset among the soldiers under your command, you'll be able to create true cultural change.
Taking action now to create the right culture will also save you effort later on. It's obviously more difficult to deal with sexual assaults in theater.
You'll need to make mission, and you'll have a lot on your radar. You won't want to lose soldiers to matters like this if you can avoid it.
Most of all, know that sexual assault hurts your soldiers. Survivors suffer from PTSD and other life-altering issues, and typically require counseling.
It can be harder for them to once again put their trust in people, even their band of brothers and sisters, especially if the assault came from a fellow soldier.
Or if our leaders didn't take actions to make us feel secure.
Fortunately, the Army has the strongest possible commitment to supporting victimized soldiers and to pursuing full investigation of alleged offenses and to holding offenders accountable.
With your help, we know it will be harder and harder to find soldiers like ourselves who've been sexually assaulted.
Thank you.